Hello everyone and welcome to Tanchaz Talk, the world's only English language program focusing primarily on Hungarian folk music. My name is Kalman Magyar Öcsi, speaking to you today from Toronto, Canada, as always. Episodes of Tanchaz Talk which combine a mix of music and stories delivered by myself are available as always on tanchaz.com, that's Tanchaz.com, or on YouTube. Just search Tanchaz Talk and subscribe and get notifications so you don't miss any future episodes. Today we have an episode of Tanchaz Talk interviews. This is where I delve into long-form interviews with my guests, and these episodes of the show, the Tanchaz Talk interviews show, are available on all popular podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, and Google podcast store. So make sure you subscribe and leave a nice review if you like what you hear. And today, I'm excited to be joined by my guest, Levente Fazakas. And I'll tell you a bit about him. I'm very excited to have him on the program. He is calling in from Transylvania, which is very cool. And let me tell you a bit about him. He was born in 1981 in Brașov, Transylvania. Now, by the way, I'm going to be talking about pretty much the Hungarian names of these cities in Transylvania, which of course used to be a part of Hungary, but it's today within the comprises the western part of Romania. So if you want to look up what the Romanian equivalents of these cities are, go ahead. This is Brașov we're talking about. That's where Levente was born in 1981. Came from a semi-musical family. His mother was a musician. She played the accordion and sang, and maybe some other keyboard instruments. But she was not into folk music. She was more into the nota type of more popular traditional music like that. Levente moved to Sepsi-Szentgyörgy for school. He studied classical violin in conservatory setting in Sepsi-Szentgyörgy. He started with classical music and he came across folk music actually in an interesting, fortunate stroke for all of us when he was asked to play for some local student dance groups looking for a violinist to accompany them while he was there in Sepsi-Szentgyörgy. So that worked out well. That's what turned him on initially to folk music. He's a highly educated folk musician, of course, and a teacher. He has diplomas from the Transylvania University in music education. That's a university in Brașov, and he finished there in 2004. And in 2019, so rather recently, he got a degree in folk music education from the Liszt Academy, a folk music department in Budapest, which of course we've talked about before. But let's back up to early 2002 and thereabouts. That's the big year when Levente really arrived on the folk music scene, and that came through his involvement with the Háromszék Dance Ensemble. Háromszék Dance Ensemble is one of the very good professional dance groups in Transylvania, and they operate out of Sepsi-Szentgyörgy, where Levente was living. And he's actually a first year in university at that time. And before that, the Polo Band, which actually toured here in the United States and Canada, Polo Band was the house band, formerly the band for Háromszék. And that band is a great band, included Molnár Szabolcs as well from Szabi from Heveder. But anyway, Polo was no longer the band there at Háromszék, and Szabolcs remained though, and he was looking for other musicians, and he invited his friend Levente to join. And like I said, Levente was in his first year in university, and he also brought on his younger brother Albert, who was a senior in high school actually at that time still. And they started playing with and for the Háromszék Dance Ensemble, which is a professional job. In the ensuing years, two more guys joined them, Szilágyi Laci on the contra and Bajna György on the bass. And a few years later, around 2006, 2007, they decided to give themselves the name Heveder. And that's why we know Levente now as the lead violinist of Heveder. So, and they are still the band for the Háromszék Dance Ensemble as well. Now, Heveder is a huge band, very well known, household name, I would say, in the folk music community, Hungarian folk music community. They've been to United States several times. In 2011 was their first year at the Csipke camp, and they've been here a bunch of times since, and then Levente alone as well to teach. They've toured Western Europe. In 2013, they played for at the Smithsonian Festival, which we've spoken about a few times. And famously, and I'm going to ask them about this, they've played for Prince Charles, who loves Transylvania, and I'll ask about that. That's right, Prince Charles. In 2016, Levente won the very prestigious prímás verseny. That's the lead violinist competition in Balatonfüred, and there's a good story about that, and we'll talk to Levente about that, but that's in 2016. Now, he's also married to a fantastic woman called Agnes Mardiros. Agi is a well-known actress in Csíkszereda, which is the area where they live. They have 3 children, and so I'm going to invite Levente on. I want to say, you know, we've gone from probably one of the original violinists, Tanchaz violinists in Transylvania, that's Levente Székely. We interviewed him a couple of episodes ago. And we've gone from him to, in my opinion, the best one in Transylvania and potentially in all of the world right now, Levente Fazakas. I guess you have to be called Levente to have any shot to make it in the violin setting in Transylvania. But I'm very excited to have on my friend and fantastic musician and teacher, Levente Fazakas. Hello, Levente.
Hi, Öcsi. That was a nice intro.
Thank you. You could hire me anytime to give an introduction.
That was very good. I didn't know about me so much things that you are.
Oh, I forgot to turn the page. Hold on, there's more. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, Levente, I know people are going to be very curious how you learned English so well. Now, we'll see how well you speak by the end of this. But how did you learn English so well, and what other languages do you speak, and how did you learn all these languages?
Well, English I learned from the movies, actually. In Romania, all the movies were subtitled in Romanian, and there weren't a lot of television channels to see, only the Romanian national TV, and what kind of the different kind of movies there. Mostly were American movies, and that was the movies with what we liked a lot. And simultaneously, we learned, as Hungarians living in Transylvania, we learned English by hearing, and Romanian by reading the subtitles. Well, at first we didn't understood English, but we had to read Romanian. So we had the English movie translated in Romanian. In this way, we learned both languages. After that, the Gypsy language was a challenge for me. I met a lot of musicians, Gypsy musicians, which their mother tongue was the Gypsy. Of course, they speak Gypsy between them, and I just understood a couple of words, which were the common words in Hungarian, like instruments, the bögö or hegedű or accordion, but I didn't understood the meaning of their speaking, and I was very interested about what they are talking about, and I decided to learn Gypsy. I took a book, a manual actually, and I learned some basics, and then when I already know some basic words, I started to discuss them and conversate them this way. it's not a, it's not a, unfortunately, it has no literally language. So I mean, it's very kitchen-like.
Right.
So there are not so many formulas, or I don't know.
Right. No, I get it. It's very simple. You're saying it's a simple language with very, but not in terms of fancy words or vocabulary. It doesn't have that.
Yes, and the grammatical thing, it's very similar to the Romanian. Actually, I think in Romanian and speak the words in Romani, Gypsy, and it works.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the language.
Well, you also speak German, yeah?
Just a little bit, yeah. I can speak German, but I'm not used to. But if I need to speak, I think I could.
Right.
German I learned in school, but we had a very bad teacher, so. But teaching, learning a language is like learning music.
Yeah.
It's I think the part of the brain which is used, it's probably the same area. So the music should be learned as language is learned. So you can hear the language as you can hear the music. You have to realize the logic of the grammatics. It's like it's the same in the music. You have to realize how it's what's the rules between the notes. And if you know these rules, you can make beautiful things on every instrument.
So you never actually studied English in a classroom setting?
Actually, I did, but it was on weightless.
Right. It seems like it's not something, I mean, other than when you travel out here to us, which seems to be pretty much every year except for when there's a pandemic. So every year except every 100 years.
Except that.
Yeah, except every 100 years you don't come here. But you're not really using it back in Transylvania, are you?
Not really.
It's amazing.
No. I'm watching other movies in Netflix, and I'm keeping my English live.
Right. So you have full blown conversations with Tom Hanks and George Clooney. Is that what's happening?
First person conversation.
Right. Wow. What kind of movies are your favorite type? Maybe you don't have a certain type, but
no, I don't have it. For recently, I've seen the Netflix serial. Actually, it's a British one, which was a very different English. Actually, it's a Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, Peaky Blinders. Yeah,
I recommend that. It's very good. I love that serial.
Series, you say.
Series.
Yeah.
Series. Okay.
And if I may recommend something very American to you, Ozark is a very good one.
Ozark.
Yeah, on Netflix. So
I've seen the promotion.
Yeah, it's very good.
Didn't get me at first, but if you recommend that, I will try to.
I recommend it.
Okay.
So how do you say? Just let's give people here a free language lesson. Gypsy, how do you say thank you?
The original thing is nice to ke. Nice to ke.
Nice to ke. Nice
to ke. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to ke. But the most usual how they are saying thank you, the gypsies, or they are borrowed the Hungarian or the Romanian word. Or they're saying köszöni now sukar. I mean, I thank you, beautiful. Köszönöm szépen.
Yeah.
Or mulțumim sukar.
Okay, interesting. So Levente, I don't want to harp. It's not a language podcast, but I'm curious. So when when a gypsy musician from Százcsavas meets the gypsy musician from Mera, do they speak in the gypsy language?
Yes, mostly yes. If they are only them.
Right.
If they are other gajo, like gajo means it's different than gypsy.
What is
Okay,
gajo?
different people. Gajo means different people than Romani, than gypsy. So all the other people, the Germans, Hungarians, Romanians, are gajo. Gajo.
Oh,
You understand?
right. So us, like me,
Like us, yeah.
or you, yeah, or George Clooney, yeah.
it's the mostly the same as the Jew are thinking about the goy.
The goyim,
Everyone
okay.
Who's not Jew, it's goy.
Gotcha.
It's the same. It's the same. Everybody who's not Romani, gypsy, it's a gajo.
Okay, so then let me extend that question. A gypsy musician from Százcsavas meets a gypsy musician from Slovakia. Are they able to understand each other? Because you're saying they're mixing some Hungarian and Romanian in their dialects. So do they understand each other?
Yeah, they are, but they understand. So the basic core of the language is the same. And if we are talking about that, there are two big dialects inside the gypsies. One is the Lomari. That's the horse traders, or I don't know, horse traders language. These are the lower castes. Lomari gypsies.
Okay.
These are all the musicians in the Carpathian Basin, or the Százcsavasi, the Palatkai, the Mócs, the Mera, Old Kaltaszeg, and even Nagyecsed. They are speaking the same dialect. The other big dialect is the so-called the sátoros cigányok. This is how it's called, the
sátor. The tent.
No.
Yeah.
Tent. These gypsies are high classed, so they are considered the original ones. So they social hierarchy is like castes, like
yes,
in India.
Yeah, we get the castes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and these big with big hats and big mustache who are keeping their tradition even now, and the women are wearing those large soknya.
Yeah, the dresses. Yeah.
The dresses, yeah, and they are keeping this culture alive. So they consider the higher class gypsies. So they are speaking a different kind of dialect.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
but they are understand each other when for example a gypsy from Százcsavas speaks to a so-called Gábor, this Gábor. The most of this big head gypsies name is Gábor valami, is because they were coming in Transylvania in the while of Betlen Gábor.
Okay.
When Betlen Gábor was the prince of Transylvania, they let them to settle in villages. So they are called Gábor. And when the two gypsy men, for example, Százcsavasi talks to Gábor, always the Gábor Cigány's language is the primer. Okay, the Százcsavasi tries to speak in the higher statute.
Yes, higher caste. Yes,
higher class language.
So interesting. So that was the Lomari, L-O-M, gypsy, and then the
L-O-V, Lovari.
Oh, L-O-V, Lovari. Okay, and then when you mentioned the Gábor, just so people know, Betlen Gábor was the Prince of Transylvania in the 1600s. 1600s. Yes. So that's what we're talking. Fascinating. Yeah. Levi, speaking of high class. And by the way, I forgot to mention where you're calling in from. You're calling in from your home, which
From my house, yeah.
from your house, which is in a place called Csík-Szentlélek, right?
Yes, Csík-Szentlélek.
Now is that right outside of Csík-Szereda?
Yeah, it's like in the periphery.
Okay.
I mean, it's a
Suburb.
suburb, yeah.
Yeah. Like a suburb of a suburb. Because how far is Csík-Szereda to where you work and you pretty much go every day, which is Sepsiszentgyörgy? What's your
It's
drive?
about 60 kilometers, which is, I don't know, 45 miles.
Wow. That's a long commute.
1 hour. 1 hour. Just the distance between Csík-Szereda and Sepsiszentgyörgy.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny. One time I remember asking, I think it was you or one of the Heveder guys, is, how long does it take to get from Sepsiszentgyörgy to Bucharest? And you said, well, with a highway it takes 3 hours, but there's no highway.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was funny. Okay, so Csík-Szentlélek, which by the way is absolutely beautiful name. It means cheek, Holy Spirit, and cheek is of course that area of Transylvania of the Székelyföld, where Csík-Szereda does kind of the center of that area.
Yes.
So I want to take you to 2016, and this is the prímás verseny in Balatonfüred. Now, just so everybody knows, this is a competition that's put on by the Hagyományok Háza, the Heritage House, and every year the prímás, the prímás, which is the lead violinists, there's a competition for them with a grand prize, which is a monetary prize, and you get an instrument as well or something for runners up, etc. They rotate. So one year there'll be the folk violinists, and the second year there will be the gypsy, the classical gypsy, the nota type of violinists. So
the city musicians.
Right. Now honestly, you could have gone to either one of them, in my view. But
No.
yeah.
I don't think so.
I know. Well, but you speak the language, so all you have to do is show up.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same. For example, those gypsies who are playing that nota style, they are actually not speaking gypsy.
Right. So,
they try to escape from that.
Yes.
From that whole thing.
Right.
They want to tend even higher. So that's why they are playing jazz and classical music, and they are capable of that. And they're very good in that.
Yes, they are. What? So there's an age maximum limit. Otherwise, I would have gone that year and beat all of you guys. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet on you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So there's the age limit. There's an age cap of 35. So you had just qualified for this. Tell me about why you decided to participate, and kind of the background story. I read a funny article or two about how you got there, and it was anyway. Just tell us about that and what led you to do that.
The first of the reasons it was that I had only this chance to go in this kind of competition. So if you were past in 35, you can go any other competitions. So I had never been in this kind of competition, and I didn't want to die to not to be in this, to not to experience that how it's to go in a competition. Mm-hmm. So I not really agree with what about making competition with music. So I don't know if I was very clear, but I don't think so. As Bartok said, competition is for horses, not for musicians.
Yes. I was thinking about. I said that to somebody in a recent interview, and I was thinking about who said it, and now I know it was you. You told me that once. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Bartok said that, and I think it's he was right, and he is right even now. But of course, I wanted to try to experience how is to be to play in such a position when everybody is listening to you very carefully, and they know what are you doing, because in the most of the cases, you know, you're playing in a fansas, and actually the people hear just a big the big part of the music, and they are considered that is good or not. But in such a competition where in a jury there are people who are know what you have to do, so that's another situation.
Right.
And of course there I want to challenge from myself, and of course the money was, and the prizes were tempting, and I tried. I decided only. I let my is mondják, bejelentkezés.
Your application.
Application. I write my application in Chipke.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I was there, and I just got an email that it's the last day to apply, and I applied from
the camp.
the porch of the
Yes.
Wi-Fi router.
Amazing. That's right, because that competition is like, it's in August, right?
The competition? No, it was in July.
July. Okay, so you just made it. Wow. So you
yeah,
got,
it was the last.
right.
I applied in the last day, and we were in a Shofalva in the camp. The Shofalva camp, the CF dance camp, was running, and I had to go from the camp, and I don't even told anybody that I'm going and where I'm going, so nobody knows that I'm going to a competition. I didn't want to know and to hold your hands and
Right.
you know.
So you were like
I was a lonely horseman.
did you even tell your
Okay.
band? Did you tell the other guys in Heveder?
No.
No.
I said to them that I have to go. I have something to play, and I have to go. I get in my car. I drove all the night. Till morning. I reached Balaton.
Yeah.
And I slept 1 hour or two, and from 18 o'clock a.m. started the show with practice, you know.
Yeah. So practice with the band. Now, when you're there,
With the band, yeah.
the Hungarian State Folk Ensemble's band is.
Samples band was there, yeah.
So that's Szalona's guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paras Gyuszi was the Brácsás.
Yeah.
That's
Dorobi and Ürmös.
Dorobi, yeah.
And Ürmös, yeah.
Ürmös wasn't there. It was
Oh.
a different
guy.
player, but
Okay.
doesn't matter. It was good.
Yeah.
A rehearsal, and then the contest.
So is the structure like a qualifying round, semi-final, final kind of thing?
No, wasn't. We were 10 competitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
And
Some around
right.
around 10.
And then you chose to play. You played a something you get to choose, yeah, and then something that they tell you to play.
Yes, and one was I played music from Mera,
Yeah.
the Öregárus style.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and another one was from Felvidék. Portugese was, yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. So now, so you chose the Öregárus, and is that Arus Fedi, the famous dancer slash bass player, his dad?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
and then so that Kalotosek style, that's chosen by you. You chose that.
Yes.
And did you choose that because it was it's even I had to ask you to make sure who I know I'm talking about, like that's a unique offering that's not often played?
It's not played often. The most of the musicians in Tanchaz, they are playing Kalotosegi from different musicians. I mean, mostly from Csipás or Netisonyi or
Yeah.
Hitler, but Öregárus is not often played.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the most, I can't say authentic, but it's the most old-styled violin playing in Kalotoseg.
Very nice.
You know, the others had a much more new style influences in their music. But Öregárus is, I like it very much. It's very, very raw.
Right.
It's very raw, but it's virtuoso in that and it's his variations are in very large scale. You know, it's much more improvised music. For example, a közjáték, which is interludium or
interlude.
Interlude. It's almost no. You can find two same interludes. But of course, even the others. This is applied to the others too. But I think Öregárus is much more larger scale improvisation skills.
Right. So, and with respect to Portugesa, now Portugesa is from the Felvidék, the old Hungarian territory currently in Slovakia. And Portugesa, you hear his tunes in the Magyar Bőd and those other places up there.
Yeah.
Like that's not something you play often because I know you guys don't play that type of music often. What was that like? That was probably more of an assignment for you just for this competition.
Yeah. That's right. But I like the music what you played, but it's not asked from us, so we are not keeping in our repertorium.
Yeah.
Because the people don't want to hear Portugesa from us, and I totally agree with that. The people want to hear Transylvanian music from us.
Yeah. Well, and, yes, but you guys
we have not so many opportunities to play that music.
Yeah.
And when you're not playing the music, you forget it. So even if you learn it, after a while, if you're not in your hands, just disappears.
Right.
Not totally, but you have to think a lot. Yeah.
For sure. So,
that's the passive knowledge of music.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's the active knowledge as a leader, as a musician.
Yeah.
Active knowledge is what you can start a melody or every time. So
yes, it's
passive. You cannot start it. It's not in your mind. It's in your mind, but you can remember the music. If somebody tells you can't play that music, oh yeah, you can, because if you remind somebody about that music, you can play it. And that's I call the passive knowledge.
Yes. But Levente, isn't this more for prímás, so for the violinist? Because
Oh yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah,
ultimately
definitely.
we're the ones. You're talking about choosing a melody to play during a particular dance cycle, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, um,
Yeah.
that's why sometimes you must enjoy. And I know with Heveder, you take turns sometimes with Subby playing the lead, although you're generally the lead, but you know you must enjoy the role of also being a second violinist and kind of falling into that passive knowledge phase, which is kind of nice as well, is it not? That,
To be a second violinist.
yeah,
Yeah, it's good.
the pressure's off, sometimes.
Yeah. Definitely.
Who's
You,
on?
you don't you, you don't have to think about what's next.
Right, right,
You just have to follow the leader.
right.
That's the most. If you're a musician, it's the most easy way to play
Yeah,
good. And the point is that you have to have a good leader.
yes, that's right, and that's what you are.
If you add a good leader, you can play with him calm. Okay.
Right, or her.
Or her. Oh yeah. These days, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to Balatonfüred. So you get an hour of sleep. You practice with Karas Juicy and the boys over there, and then you play these two tunes, these two sets. One Kaltaseg, one Felvidék over the course of the day. They're like 3 or 4 whatever minute sets. Who's on the jury on a competition of this scale, magnitude? Who is give us the names of some of the people on the jury.
Well, Arendás Péter,
Okay.
I think he was the chief of the jury.
Uh-huh.
Vizeli Balázs,
Okay.
Lakatos Robert,
Wow.
but not the Brüssel one.
I know the rave, Lakatos and the rave. Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know who was my Keremelci. I don't know. He wasn't. He was just there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Okay. So
But,
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. So if they were here, I'd like to ask them, but I'll ask you because you certainly know at this point. What is a jury like that? What are they looking for? I mean, all 10 of you guys, and I think it was all guys that year, are all very fine, very good violinists. What are they looking for? What are the key attributes or personality traits, and also because it must be more than just playing the notes. So what are you thinking they're looking for?
Well, I can tell you because I was a jury too in such a competition in Mera. A couple of years ago, I was asked for jurying in the Mérai prímás verseny, Mera prímás cast. That's only Kaltasegi.
Okay.
So I can talk about what are the points what I'm looking for when I am a jury.
That's great.
I think that's what you are asking for.
At 100%, that's what I'm asking for, and I'm also going to ask them to raise the limit to 50 so I could participate. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
Yes.
First of all, I'm watching for the style. Every music, every violin play has a style. Okay, there are a lot of little tricks, little things we are which are putting together, and you got the style, and the style is the difference between the musicians.
Mm-hmm.
The second point is how to lead the band. How to lead the band. You were able, because this is a prímás version. So
right.
A prímás is who have to lead, who have to to communicate with the band, the rest of the band. It's the tempo, the dynamics, how they are suggested when you have to increase or decrease, and the tempo and the dynamics, for example. You have to lead the band.
Mm-hmm.
These two things are the most important things in such a competition, and of course the aura.
Yeah, the aura. Yeah.
Aura. You have to smile. I don't know.
Right.
You don't have to, but it's
Right.
good.
Right. Okay. So, style, leadership, and
Yeah.
let's say aura, but I would say the entertainment value. Okay, something like that.
That's more American.
Right, entertainment value. Okay, so let me ask you about the style, because we're talking. You're playing Öregárus, and you're playing Portuguesa. Let's assume for that. But every violinist chose something different. Then that's why they actually want you to play a particular region or two regions. They say you have to choose from either one of these, because they want you to kind of even out the playing field. They want to see how you all attack the same type of styles. So when we're talking about style, are you considering how close is the playing to, let's say, Öregárus is playing, or are we saying, let me see, this is Fazakas Levi's style. Okay, this is his style, the way he plays Öregárus, and because if I go up there and I play some Öregárus tunes that they're not going to be very authentic to the way maybe Öregárus would have played them, but I certainly have style. I have my own little style. What are you talking about exactly?
Well, in such a competition, the point is to hear again Öregárus, who is he's like living again.
Yes.
It's like he never died. He just wake up from the groove and it's playing, and it's quite good.
Right, okay.
You see, you have to have that impression. You close your eyes, you hear the music, and you hear that. Oh my God, that's not note by note the same thing, but it's the as a whole thing. It's totally the same. That's the point. And how you reach that, I always telling my students when I'm teaching them that the point it's not point to learn everything note by note, and when you are playing, you just give those notes in the same shorthand.
Yeah, it's an order, same order.
Yeah, in the same order. So that's not. You have to learn. It's like a Lego cups.
Yeah.
You learn such a tiny little movements, things, and you're putting together those variations in a way as you were like it, or as you were. As it comes, because after a while you were not choosing intentionally different variations. Only after a level you just play, and the variations came as normal as came for Öregárus too.
Right.
Because they are not thinking about music, or the gypsy musicians who learned this music totally different way as a language, as her hearing, and became in their blood. So they're thinking totally differently this music.
Right.
It's for them like speaking. So it's like making heardable some thoughts, musical thoughts. variations. We are seeing his music on variations, like Bach. You know, Bach. He hadn't in his head had those kind of contrapunct or
counterpoint. Yeah,
counterpoint. Yeah, I mean the music. Musicologists there realized what are the rules what Bach followed. So it's the same thing. Just we are seeing that rules as rules.
Right. But you're able, like if needed, you have also learned the style of the repertoire or even let's say a particular melody of Öregáros. You can replicate it for me sometime exactly as he played it. Like yeah, but that's not what the jury.
That's the basic, you know.
Right.
You have to learn before the whole thing. You have to learn as it is.
Yes.
And after that, the second level or third and fifth, I don't know, you can rearrange and becomes your own music. Evaluate the same tunes.
Right. So when you're sitting, this is interesting because when you're sitting as a jury member in Kalota segment in a made-up competition, I mean, you know, a violinist can come up there. Let's call him Magyar Kalman, and Magyar Kalman comes there and he plays a replica version of Netti Sanyi Back from the Grave, you know, and he plays a 3-minute set that he collected from Netti Sanyi in the mid '80s, and he plays it perfectly well. You as a jury member say, nice, I like that, but where is Magyar Kalman in all of this? Where is the Lego that he built? Where's his style, right? Is that the kind of the question you're asking? Or do you say as a jury member, holy crap, this kid learned exactly the way Netti played it, and that's great style.
The true is somewhere in the middle. I have to believe that it's 100% Netti style, but in the meanwhile, I need to see you and to hear you. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a very I cannot. It's like love. You cannot throw in the words.
Right.
You hear and you feel.
Yes.
You feel what's that you are playing your own, and so can I hear the style of Netti Sanyi, or just it's a CD of
right.
You make a replica.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The point is to be somewhere in the middle, you know.
I get it. Interesting. Okay, I will keep all that for the next competition.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, and I know for dancers it's similar, right? So I'm generally aware of what they're looking for as a jury, but this is interesting to hear your perspective as not just a competitor who was able to kind of ace that test, but also as someone who does it as a jury member themselves. I want to ask you something about a place I've never been to yet, or a festival or a gathering which I've never been to. That's the Erdély Zenész Találkozó, and my koma and contra player Garda Levi keeps telling me. He says, "Öcsi, we gotta go," and I will go at some point. But
he's right.
I know he's
totally.
right. So what I hear about this is more of a this is the Transylvanian musicians, folk musicians gathering. So this is where all the the Tanchaz musicians get together, and more or less they're from Transylvania, and some special guests from Canada, for instance, are welcome as well, and obviously from Hungary and stuff. But
yeah,
there is. Go ahead.
Actually, everybody's welcomed.
Okay, everybody's welcome.
So there's no restrictions and never been.
Okay.
It's the name. The name is the Erdély Háromszék találkozó, and in the first couple of years we were just Transylvanians were there, but after that everybody should come. So everybody, I mean, who's musicians.
Right.
So nobody was rejected because of he's not a Transylvanian or I don't know.
Right, but you generally have to be a musician, what I hear about not just that gathering, but of in general the atmosphere between the Transylvanian Tanchaz and the Hungarian Tanchaz kind of musical spirit of with respect to the musicians among themselves is that there's more of a rivalry or a competitive nature between the musicians from Hungary in general, and whereas the musicians in Transylvania, they're more of a brotherhood, help each other out kind of thing.
Yeah,
they're not stepping on each other's toes. And I'd like you to talk about that, and I want you to know, you probably didn't hear the interview yet with Székely Levente, but he talks about.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but well, you will, and you're going to listen to the fact that he talks about when he moved from Transylvania to Hungary, and then he started to play for the Hungarian State Folk Ensemble. He realized all these Hungarian musicians from Hungary that were saying they're his friend, you're my buddy, come to Budapest, and then finally he came to Budapest, and they kind of blew him off, and they started ignoring him.
Nobody was happy.
Yes, exactly. So what's I have a theory, but I want to hear your take on that and what you think.
Oh, I don't know. Things is there that and when we reached the 1990s, the most of the Tanchaz musicians from Transylvania were left. So if you the old, the Gázsa, Székely Levente, the Páva István's band, the Barozda ensemble, so all these people during the communist era, when the borders were opening, or even till that too, they left. So there was an empty space about the folk musicians. There weren't enough folk musicians. In the early 90s, the Öcsi and the Tarisnyás was the two folk bands in Transylvania. The Öcsi moved in Hungary too during the 90s, and Paulo came in his place, if we can say that.
Yes.
What I wanted to say is that after that, every musician had somebody who so that the musicians were respecting each other much more, and the dancers were respected by the musicians, and vice versa. So that's why when the first Tanchaz találkozó were starting, it was that was the point, because we weren't so many people. So we thought that Szabi is the main brain of that találkozó meeting. Yeah. He said, we are 50 guys, and we drink a couple of beers and play some good music and spending a good time together. That's fun, and that's power, and that's good. And I think in the first meeting we were about 100 people putting together there. And the point is that it's to be a musician in Transylvania means that you are playing in a Tanchaz. Nobody is telling you how good you are have to be to become a musician. You know, you are an instrument. You own an instrument, and you were playing, so you were a musician. Okay, you were playing in a Tanchaz or a gyerek Tanchaz. Nobody, so it doesn't matter in which level you were playing. And in this way, for example, it's totally these meetings, everybody plays with everybody, nobody tells you that you are not good enough or I'm not playing with you. So it's a real flower power, like in the 70s.
Yes.
In the 70s, how's called that festival, that hippie?
Woodstock.
Woodstock, yeah. It's kind of Woodstock. So no obligations. Everyone plays when he wants or when she wants, and how much he wants, and so on. So it's a 4-day whole recovering in every corner of that camp in Gyimes, in Borospataka. In that camp, you can hear some music, some different music. Every 2 guys are putting together, or 3 or 4 or 5, and playing music for fun from themselves, not for somebody, not for something, not for money, not for palinka, not for people asking for, just for themselves and just for fun. And that's the good thing in that. And we were trying to hang this keep this thing continuing in this way, because that's the soul of the thing. You know, in Hungary they are tried to say that copy this kind of meeting, but for example, the people were paid for that.
Right.
Okay, when you're paid, you have obligations.
Yes.
So it's from that point on.
Right. It defeats the purpose.
We have nothing to talk about.
Right. Nothing. Yeah. Conversation over. Yeah.
Yeah. So the soul. We have to keep the soul alive.
Levente, the spirit of this.
Spirit, no, that's the soul.
Right.
Spirit, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, but the spirit and soul of this találkozó.
Okay, the soul and the spirit in Hungarian is the same, the lélek, and that's what I'm talking about.
But it goes beyond that weekend, that long weekend. I mean, so you're saying things that people don't judge you, and it's just for the music, and no one says, hey, I'm up here and you're kind of down here musically speaking, so I'd rather not collaborate or have play it with you, because so it sounds like there's some of that going on in outside of Transylvania, let's say in Hungary, and that's unfortunate. Is there a different type of spirit among Transylvanians, even during the year, in the middle of December or September or whatever? It's a different attitude, is it not? Even though you guys are professional at this point, making a living doing this, what can you talk a bit about that? And is it just a matter of is it a matter of supply and demand, that there are many more musicians in Hungary making a living doing this, or is it all about the dancers potentially, or what is it about?
No, what you have mentioned in Hungary, they are playing much like as a living. I mean, it's much more like commercial thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The most of the musicians in Hungary, they are learning that in schools. And after a couple of years, when they are they are used to play as good as they do, and they are going to. There are a lot of dance groups who needs bands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they are paying for it, and but basically, I think that in Transylvania we have a attendance in that way too.
We have what?
Attendance.
You have, sorry, attendance?
Yeah. Again. Again, irány.
Yeah, direction.
Direction.
Things are going in that direction, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but even these meetings, these találkozó is the main source of or keeping this spirit or spiritual approach of this music to keep it on the field, not go in the air, you know.
Right. You know, it's funny because and obviously when we're talking about North America, let's say, the last thing I would say about another band, you know, so we're in Gyanta, but you know, for Eletfa or Forrás or anything, I would never say, you know, my competition or my, you know, like we might say that about another law firm, maybe, you know, but that's because that's business. But
as musicians, you have to have a respect one to each other. Right. Respect. That's the basic.
Yeah.
Everybody plays as he knows.
Yes.
Mindenki úgy muzsikál, hogy tud.
Yeah.
That's the basic thing, and that's okay. I'm playing as I can. Everybody plays as he can.
Yeah. Well, and so long as they keep playing, and I think that's kind of the spirit that this Erdély Zenés Találkozó is all about, and hopefully, as things become, you know, more of a business, so to speak, I put that in quotation marks. You know, hopefully we can retain that spirit. Unfortunately, in Hungary, within Hungary and Budapest, particularly, you know, some of that's falling apart a bit. But you know, hopefully you guys can keep that going, as we will here.
Yeah.
You know,
the main thing is to stay out from the folk business.
Yes.
Stuff, you know.
Yeah.
To have not a folk business taste, you know.
Yes.
You cannot feel any kind of it's free for everyone.
Right.
And that's the the first point.
Yes.
You don't have to pay, and you are not paid too. So you are going there to have fun and to rejoin again and to join for each other and to drink a beer or palinka and have fun and play music whole day or as you want. If you're not want to play, you don't play. If you want to play, you play. So that's the total freedom, and the things are working. So you cannot imagine that. You can imagine that it's not totally free. So there are programs.
Yeah. And
in the past few years, there's a very specified purpose of involving the new generation in this music, in this spirit, because the kids, let's say kids, the guys about 12, 13, 14 years old, kids, they're invited and they're welcomed too.
Nice.
So they are still not formed musicians, but everybody is welcomed, and in this way they are seeing the old way of where I can say that this year we were the old guys.
Yeah.
It was a very bad thing to realize that I have 40. So
Yeah.
I am the old guy in the in the Tanchaz Talk. Of course, the guys and the history wasn't there because of the pandemic. They couldn't came.
Uh-huh.
And this year was much more at the Transylvanian people there.
Yeah.
But the purpose, very defined purpose, is to getting involved in this spirit, the new generation. They are courses. They are előadások.
Yeah, courses and workshops. Yeah.
Workshops, yeah.
Yeah. And lectures too. Yeah.
Lectures, yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's the Erdély Zenész Találkozó, and sounds like everybody's welcome as long as you can play. So it's time to learn an instrument so you can get in there. I will pack my bags at some point one of these upcoming years and go.
You should come, man.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Should.
Bring the whole band. So I want to switch gears, and because Canada is part of the British Commonwealth, so I am obligated constitutionally to ask you about your encounters with Prince Charles. So I hear he's a fan of Transylvania. He actually owns a place. What's going on there? How did you guys as Heveder come to play for him?
Well, in the early years in 2000 and some 5, 6, I don't know. We had a relationship to the Kanoki Count. The Kanoki is a family, a noble family in Transylvania. He owns a couple of domains, castles, and houses like that. I don't know the names of these. And they made some tourist attractions in those castles. Mm-hmm. And one of the attractions was the folk music and dance from Transylvania, which we as a Heveder band were invited mostly for this kind of presentations. It's like a tiny little show.
Yeah.
Half an hour of Hungarian folk music and dance.
Okay.
So after a while, Prince Charles, I don't know
his wife?
No. Prince Charles came into picture by going into some of these Count's houses.
Okay.
He was a guest over there.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we were invited to perform in front of him. Mm-hmm. I mean, for him. Yeah. With 2 couples of dancers. And after that, he bought a residence in a village called Zolánpatak.
Really?
Yeah. But as I told you, in the first couple of years, he was a guest at Count Kalnoki's guest house.
Okay.
And we were performing for him. After that, he bought another peasant house. He loves a lot this old style living form, which is conserved in Transylvania in some of the places because evolution kills it. Evolution of the technology kills even in Transylvania a lot of things. He's appreciating very much the thing as the people are living together with the nature.
Yeah.
It doesn't exploit him. They are with the animals.
Yes.
Legeltetik, azt nem tudom, hogy mondják.
Yeah. Well, they're feeding the cattle. Grazing the cattle are grazing around. Yeah.
Kézzel kaszálnak, meg ilyenek.
Yes. So they crap. But then not that. I haven't done that in a couple of decades. So anyway, yeah.
They are cutting the grass with the hand tools.
Right. So old school, but so that
yeah.
Prince Charles really likes that. Like how often do you think he goes there?
Every year.
Nice.
At least once.
That's not too far from you guys. That's he's north of Zolán Patak. I looked it up. It's north of Sepsiszentgyörgy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very close, and it's a very hidden place.
Right. Yes.
So it's just one way there and one more back, but it's not the Zsákutca.
Right. So it's a dead end. It's a dead end. The whole village is a dead end street.
Yeah. That's why the people over there, they're keeping these old style way of living.
Yeah.
And he likes a lot. I speak with him. He used to play cello.
Wow.
As he told me, and he was very fascinating about, of course, his son. He had seen the violin, the violin, but the braccio with those three chords and playing, just three strings and playing chords on it. That was really interesting for him, and the three-stringed bass too, with a goat.
The gut strings. The gut strings.
Gut strings, yeah.
So he noticed all that stuff.
Yeah.
Have you shown him the ütőgardon?
Yes, of course.
He must like that.
Yeah. And he told us that he used to play cello sometimes.
Does he like öregárus or csipás? I'm just kidding.
I don't know, but he likes a lot of legényes dance. Yeah, and he tries to try to learn some, and he asked for to be taught by some kind of figures how it's for the dance, and he realizes that this is very, very good. What he liked a lot is Ritka Magyar.
Wow, Ritka. So has Crazy Pishti done a Mohala lesson for him yet?
No, Crazy Pishti wasn't with us. He left.
Yeah. So that's Prince Charles. I like that. Hey, Levi, I want to talk about your family. I mentioned your wife, Agnes, who we met at Csipke, and she's a very well-known actress in Transylvania. You have three kids. The ages, Vince says the oldest one. How old is he now?
Yeah, it's 14.
So 14. What are the other ages?
11 and 7.
Okay, so as a musician, you are oftentimes, on the road, away, and it sounds like you have an extra hour commute every day or whatever you're going to Sepsiszentgyörgy, etc.
Yeah.
You're away from your family a lot. What is that like, and how do you make up for that? What are your big challenges with that, and how do you kind of overcome that? Because I know that's supposed to be a very difficult part of life for you guys. Oh
yeah, it's not a good thing that I'm traveling a lot. It's a good thing for me, but it's not good for my family. In the relation with my family, use with that, actually. That's why, for example, in this pandemic year, in such a way, I enjoyed this period because I haven't been with my family such a long period continuously. I don't know since when, so I don't remember.
Right.
So it was a good thing. And the kids were home too, and me too, and the whole family together. That was a very good thing. I was just thinking that probably we should stick a kind of so-called pandemic year every 5 years.
Be careful.
Even if there wouldn't be a pandemic. So.
Yeah. It's the 15th wave,
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly has been nice. I'm sure for you it's a nice way to refresh and regroup and recharge. And
yes.
Yeah. Well, professors do this. They call
doing a lot of things different than music, because if you're professional in music, it's totally different than when we were just playing for fun,
Yes.
When you were professional, you were living from that. You have obligations. You have to play. Okay.
Yeah.
So I always enjoyed, as Szász, Jóska, and Lőrinc have that attitude of the playing and never stopping, just playing. But they are engineers.
Yes. Yes.
When they are working, they are sitting in front of a computer, the desktop, and okay.
Right.
So the music for them, it's a totally different, enjoyable thing. Of course, for me, it's the same thing, but it's not the same when you are doing that for doing your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. And
when you have to go to the with the dance, you have some stuff as you from.
I kind of lost you at the end there, but I think I know what you're saying. We have the professors. Professors have this. They call every 7 years they have a sabbatical, which is when they, take the time off. For a musician, you take 1 year off, or a half a year, or even you say no to 4 wedding invitations. You're not going to get called again. So, yeah.
When this year with the band, we had an agreement that in 2021 we are not playing weddings, for example. We have a year of rest, but the pandemic rewrite.
Right.
So the 2020 is the rest.
Right.
The 2021st it's work again. If the things are going in a good way.
So maybe this whole thing is your fault because you guys made that agreement,
Probably, yeah. For us, it was very, very good timing, actually. Yeah.
So your wife is constantly, non-pandemic years, your wife is constantly in rehearsals and doing performances. So what kind of help do you guys have with respect to taking care of these young kids when you're both away?
Well, we have an old lady in the village who's taking care of them when we are gone, or the grandmothers.
Right.
But now they're grown enough, and we just live in the house.
Right. Vince is the boss.
Yeah. I have to tell that Vince is in a Florin's house now.
Kódoba Florin in Magyar Palatka. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he lives in Apahida now, but
okay.
Yeah. A whole week of learning Palatka music and Romanian too, because their mother language is Romanian.
Yeah.
Theirs, and Florin has two kids too.
Mm-hmm.
And now my son learns music and Romanian from them. And as he said me, he's enjoying a lot the time spent over there.
That's fantastic. Are they so Vince, even today at this day and age, 2020, Vince's and your other kids' schooling is in Hungarian?
Oh yeah, of course.
Very nice. Well, you say of course, but you know, it's not. Yeah. That's like well, my kids go to French school here, you know, but so it's kind of similar.
No.
But it's
they are going in a Hungarian school and kindergarten too. So, and they are learning Romanian just in school. They don't have any other contacts to learn Romanian.
Right. Speaking of family, you play with your brother Albi in Heveder, who's a fabulous musician himself. I want to ask you what that's like. You know, do you have a kind of another dimension or another sense of communication with him that may not exist? Musically, it exists because of your relationship as brothers. Like, is there a look, some kind of sense, a nod, something that connects you guys when you play, and what's that like to play with him?
No, nothing supernatural.
That's a good word, supernatural. Nothing. Interesting. Okay.
Nothing supernatural. The only thing that we are playing as good as we are together is the fact because we are playing together since I don't know when, since we were kids.
Since you were kids.
And we are playing together constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Without rest.
Yes, without interruption for 20 years. Over 20 years.
Yeah.
I have that.
I was the first one. I was the first one who was getting involved in this folk music stuff thing, and he followed me. And since then, we are playing together actually, almost any time.
I have a supernatural relationship there musically with my sister. She could really tell when I want to kill her when we're playing, you know. It's that look. Levi, I want to ask about your singing. You're a fabulous singer.
I don't think so.
Well, no, first of all, I wanted to ask are you trained at all in singing?
Well, I had trainings, and when I was in university in Kassel, there I had canto courses. I had to have, so I didn't want it, but I had, and that's all.
Okay, so you had courses. Sorry, I just want to show you. You said you had singing courses.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like using your voice properly and projecting and diaphragm breathing and all that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Bel canto.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not singing in bel canto, but I know some techniques. I was learned about some basic techniques of how should a singer sing.
Okay.
But I am not considering myself as a singer.
Well,
I
do.
sing for I sing big in most of the stages. I mean, when there are concerts, we are singing. Sabi sing. I sing because of because it's the right thing. There are vocal folk musics too, and it goes better if you are singing
Well,
with a melody.
ironically, the two trained singers are Gyuri and Ladi, aren't they?
And they are too, yeah.
Yeah.
They are cantor.
Yeah.
I don't know, what's that?
Well, the
Okay.
cantor at the church and stuff, and
Church,
Yeah.
church musician.
yeah. You know, there's a certain style of singing that is kind of what we consider for the the proper trained Hungarian Liszt Academy male voice. You know, a very kind of projecting, very loud type
Oh
of
yeah. The bad cantos.
yeah, and you have something different where you kind of draw in the listener with your dynamics and
Yeah.
I really, I mean, you might not consider yourself a singer, but I think the ones that listen to you, those of us do. And
Yeah.
yeah, but it may be a visual thing because when you're performing, first of all, I mean, for those of you who have not seen Levente, he's, I don't know, how tall are you, man? 6'3", 6'4", something like that?
I don't know. In English measure, I can think in English measure.
Well, you're almost 2
Feet,
meters.
feet. Yeah, 195.
195 centimeters. Okay, so so he's very tall, and he's got a real kind of presence on the stage with the leadership we talked about. That obviously the Balaton Füred jury saw, but also when he sings, he puts the violin under his arm and he just really he smiles and he connects well. This kind of sense of entertainment. So this was the entertainment value, which you like that term because it's very American.
Yeah.
Is that coming from a deep place of joy, or is that coming from you're just turning it on
As a profession.
as a professional?
No, it's I can't do things just for being professional.
Right,
So
you can't fake it.
It has to be coming from joy.
Okay.
Yeah, but the perception of making it joy. There are some things you have to do, and if you have to do, it's better to do it with joy, than without joy.
Right. Yeah.
And I learned from Netishani, for example, this kind of he loved to play music, and he loved to play music for people. He loved and the people appreciate when they're seeing or hearing a musician who is playing with joy, with a fun and with happiness.
Yes.
And this kind of entertainment, to call like that, you can't do it without honesty.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be honest with that. If you're making for money, that's not working.
Mm-hmm.
The people are seeing that. If you are honestly enjoying your music or not.
Right.
I think if even when I have no
mood. You're not in the mood.
I don't want to play. Even in that position, when I start to play, the whole thing is changed. The whole world is getting clear and bright, and the sun is shining, and I can't play music without enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you and talk to you about your teaching style. And I've seen you at Chipke many years now teaching and other camps and stuff. And Levente has an ability to take musicians, mostly these youngsters, but people of advanced age as well, and kind of this, whatever their levels is, and however challenging this might be, because all these violinists are different at a different point in their development, and also the way they learn. Some like to learn by notes, others by ear, etc. Levente kind of finds what's right for each of them. I would describe your style as very effective, but also tough. So you're and I wanted to know. So tough meaning I've seen you not impatient, but it's by design. It's not even, well, it's just a different style that we would be accustomed to here. It's not good job Johnny. There's none of that. It's and even once the kid gets it, you push him further or push her further. Is this the style that's generally utilized where in Transylvania? And tell me more about that, and maybe what you've kind of experienced teaching people here on our side of the water.
There's no difference about teaching people in Transylvania or anywhere else in the world. So I teach in the same style. The style comes from my personality. Mm-hmm. My personality. I teach as I am. Okay, I am asking things, and I'm trying to push to the edge of what the student is capable of. I want to. For example, in the chipka, where I have a very small amount of time at disposition, so we have a couple of meetings with the kids. It's not a long-term procedure of learning,
right? And
you have to push to the edge of the what the kids can take
right.
on,
right?
Mm-hmm. And that's why I am seen as cruel, or I don't know, with a ostor,
with a whip,
in my hand.
With a whip.
Yes. But it's not. I'm just trying, and the other thing is that I'm trying to work with each one separately, just for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
In the course,
Yeah.
We are making together, but I want to listen everyone to a single, solo. I mean.
Yes.
Because if you are the most use learning folk music is that 10, 12 kids, or I don't know how many, they are sitting in front of you, and we are just playing together again. Okay, still they are learning the melody. Okay, we are making that too, but after that, everybody should and we have to play the tune what he learned alone.
Mm-hmm.
Alone.
Yeah.
Okay, because then I know what I have to help. What's the parts of he has problems with, and I make this. I say the solutions right away. So I say, no, do that way, do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key of efficiency.
It's very effective for sure. And I'll never forget, a couple of years ago you brought your son Vince to the Chipka camp as well, and and you know, I remember, I think we were talking at that point saying, you know, Vince is really maybe not that interested in the violin, or into this, you know, folklore thing. And then now but he came to Chipka, and he kind of found, he grew closer to his roots in the middle of Michigan.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing he's spending you know, several days at Cordoba Florin's house really learning. Was that a turning point, you think, for your son?
I don't think it was a turning point, but it helped a lot. I think it had to be right now. I think my son is in a good path. I mean, in a good way. Thanks God. I see that he likes the music, and the point it was in the Chipka that you know, here in Europe and in Transylvania at home too, there's an image of America which is propagated by the movies and everything else, that with other kinds of styles of music and I don't know, Britney Spears and stuff like that, you know, pop music, and that's the influence what hits the kids over here. Mm-hmm. And the point it was that when I took Vince overseas, and he saw that American kids, almost the same age as he, they are doing that music which his dad does. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of, I think, it was kind of interesting thing for him to realize that what my dad plays, it could be so bad. Because
right.
even in America, they are playing and they are learning that kind of music. So I don't think this was a turning point, but it was a very good experience for him.
Absolutely. I saw an interview with you and your wife, and you spoke about, or maybe she spoke about the fact that when you guys came home from that trip with Vince, she asked him what it was like, and Vince said, "It's great, America's great, but I really love Transylvania. I love being here at home. This is my home."
Yeah. And I'm very glad to hear that. So he was fascinated, but he saw a lot of things, good things, and but bad things too. Mm-hmm. I mean, what bad things? I'm referring about the things what he didn't like, but I'm very happy to have him here.
Yes.
And to keep him here.
Right.
Because I had the opportunity to live 1,000 times, and I didn't even, because I think we have something to do here, and what we are doing here, that's important even for us and even for kids. And if everybody leaves, we lost this wonderful place, which is right now our home.
That's my last question, and I wrote it down here for before, so you kind of walked yourself right into it. Big question: what do you, and then your team with your wife as well, but what do you want to accomplish in your life? You know, when you're old and with your feet up, at home, kind of retired, let's say, what would be a successful life for Fazakas Levente? What legacy do you want to leave?
Well, I don't think about that. I don't know. I don't imagine me. I imagine myself with my family here at my house, making violins, because I have the materials both, but I don't have any time. Probably when I'm getting old, I will have time for that too. And playing just for fun, music, I don't know.
Well,
Some very, very, very calm life. I want to
yes.
have a very decent life.
Right. Well, you're gifting the world for now with lots of wonderful music and energy and teaching and performance. And I wanted to thank you for your time today with me. And there's several people I'd love to interview, but a few of them speak English, obviously, like you do, and I feel we're very lucky to do that. So I appreciate your time and all your thoughts.
Thank you.
And on behalf
I wasn't in top according to English, but
no, you were.
I'm struggling.
No, you're great, and you even corrected yourself. You from curse to course by the end, so you're listening really well. So on behalf of Fazakas Levente and myself, Kalman Magyar, thank you for tuning in today to Tanchaz Talk interviews. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, share this with a friend, and until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye.